There we go. Okay, well, thank you so much to everyone who hopped on. We're going to record this, and the way that this call came about was I was talking with Sara like 2 weeks ago, and we started saying, you know, let's get Heather and do like a FaceTime or a video of what's been going on, what we've been noticing with Plexus. And when we just to get started, I want to introduce myself because I'm probably the person that nobody knows. But my name is Becky Page, and Sara has known me since I was born. Our parents were best friends in college and dear lifelong friends. So Sara has always felt kind of like more of a cousin, an older cousin to me that I admired. And she and I began to talk about Plexus last fall. And she wasn't very interested at first, which isn't unusual because there's so many things that are vying for our attention these days when it comes to health. And probably a lot of you feel like you're getting something shoved down your throat on social media these days. So I just want to say thanks for being on this call. Thanks for being willing to listen in. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet and to the point, and we're going to record so you can always come back later. But wanted to let you know, so I'm going to keep most of you guys muted while we're on this call, like I said, just to cut down on background noise. But if you've got a question, you can ask it in the chat section. And we're going to do 3 giveaways. We're going to do a giveaway for a 7-day trial of a drink called Slim and a supplement called MetaBurn. We're going to also do a giveaway for our children's multivitamin chewables that I really love, a bottle of that. And we're also going to do a giveaway for a $20 Target gift card. So the way to enter into the giveaway is I'm going to ask a question, and if you'll just put the answer to the question in the chat section, you'll be entered to win. So without further ado, Sara, you want to take it away?
Sure. Okay, thanks. I'm a little distracted by your beauty, Becky. Isn't she pretty? I like your hair. It's looking very lovely. Okay, hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sara. I am married to my husband, Dan, and we have 6 children. My children range in age from 10 is my youngest, and I have a 23-year-old at the other end. So we've been married for almost 25 years. This summer, it'll be 25 years. So my husband is 12 years older than me. I'm 47. And he is turning 60 this year, which apparently puts him in a category called aging. We're all aging, of course, but he's ahead of me in that process. So as we've grown together and gone through life together, the last few years, things have gotten progressively kind of more difficult for him. He is a manager of a computer technical support team, and he is good at what he does. He's worked at the same company for almost 20 years. But a few years ago, they got bought out, and things started to get more stressful at work. And, you know, you've been married for 20 years or so, you kind of know how things go. But I started to notice his complaints were getting more serious to me, and he started to really struggle in ways that I had just never seen him struggle before. So he was complaining about the stress, but it was more in terms of like his inability to handle it, and he was really quite concerned. He wasn't sleeping well at all. He was to the point of, he came back repeatedly telling me that he thought he was depressed and having anxiety and maybe what was it, panic attacks from time to time. So it was a situation that as a wife, I was concerned, and it started off with just what I would normally do. The usual thing for me was, I would pray with him, I would share truth with him, just be my normal upbeat self with him and and kind of hope for the best. And but the situation didn't change, and it didn't go away, and it was a couple years in. So I'm I'm slow to to act on these things, I guess, but it wasn't going away. And so I really started to wonder what I should be doing, if maybe I should be doing more. I was praying about it a lot. You know, what am I supposed to do to be the helper that I want to be to him? So in the midst of that, of course, I did have my friend Becky kind of popping in here and there, and sending me videos and little things about gut health. But there definitely came a day when I decided I was going to research this a little bit more for myself. I found out the explosion of information about gut health, how it's related to so many other processes in our bodies, and so many of the things that it was related to were things that my husband was struggling with, that I kind of crossed this line where I wanted to try this. Of course, I was praying, what should I do? And so the opportunity presented itself in a way that I thought, you know, I can't really ignore this. So here I am, I'm like, I want to throw the book at my husband, the Plexus book, you know, like just all of it, and let's just do this thing, and see what we can do to help. And then I had this financial issue. And my husband is a very good provider. We have a big family, and he makes a good income. But with our situation, it was still, the Lord always provided everything we needed, and there was no real wiggle room after that. So I was presented with that problem, and I talked to Becky about it, and that was kind of obviously the catalyst to get involved on the business side of Plexus. I thought, well, if the Lord wants this to happen, and you know, if this is kind of what's going to help Dan with some of the physical things he was going through, and then it has to be provided for financially. I don't know what he'll do with this, but I'm going to try it. Seemed like on paper that our situation was perfect for me to try to join the business side, and in order to pay for the products, but to tell you the truth, to help with some of the financial stress anyway that we were experiencing, because a few years ago, around the same time things started getting more stressful for Dan, we had some difficulties in our family, and I had actually cut down on my own working. I'm a professional musician, so but I cut back on, I stopped teaching piano lessons, which I had done my entire married life, and I did that in order to really focus more on my teenagers who, you know, are kind of facing a scary world these days, and I needed to give them more of my attention. So we were actually in a kind of a more tight place than we had been even in the last couple of years, although I knew it was a good thing to do. There was never any question. So I had tried a little bit of network marketing before. I told Becky, you know, I don't think I'm very good at this. You know, I've kind of done a little of this before, and I'm bad at it or something. I was quick to tell her all about that. But Plexus did feel different to me. I think because of just the sheer numbers of people that I knew that it could help. Everyone from children to adults to aging parents to you know, men, women, people who struggle to lose weight, people who have skin issues, people who struggle with anxiety and depression, even serious diseases, diabetes, autoimmune issues, all those things I see around me every day. And so beyond my own husband's experience, I kind of started noticing how this is around me constantly. I mean, I live in Michigan. We get depressed. Michigan winters are not for the faint of heart. Also getting old and living in Michigan, that's like a double whammy. I don't know, right, Mom? So, so the fact that, the idea that after I could help my husband, then possibly next I could help my 19-year-old daughter who has had the burden of pretty severe eczema her entire life, or my younger teen girls. I have 5 daughters. So we're talking hormones, hormone balancing is a thing. It's a real thing. And, and then, my parents, my mom suffers from rheumatoid arthritis, and we will be moving in together soon. And I felt my world open up in a way to some of the needs around me in a very hopeful way. And now, to tell you the truth, everywhere I look, I see them. I see people who I want to help. If they'll let me, that's one of the big obstacles is, will they let me help them? But anyway, it's pretty exciting. I'm just getting started, so I don't have a lot of history to back up to be able to say, oh, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened. I think it's going really well so far. But the products aren't a drug, they aren't a magic pill. And so there's commitment to consistency over time. But the more I have worked with Plexus and with Becky, who's so much more knowledgeable than me, and seen how the company and the products, they really stand up under scrutiny. So my own confidence is building as well. And that's just a good feeling. I don't think I really couldn't do it if it weren't for that. I have to be authentically confident. And these are my people. These are my friends. My Facebook people are not strangers that I've just accepted friend requests from. These are people I care about and interact with regularly. So I couldn't do it otherwise. And that side of it has just grown, and my own confidence and really my gratitude that I can be that confident has been encouraging. It's been really encouraging. So my husband is only been a little over a month on the triplex combo. He has noticed some improvement. He's very understated. So for him to say to me, I've noticed some improvement, that's like the average, it's a miracle. I mean, like normal people would say, it's a miracle. And Dan will say, I've noticed some improvement. So he's just very understated that way. But right away, his sleep improved. And you know how important sleep is. His situation has not improved. So it's always a matter of prayer. As far as his work stress and that kind of thing, it's ongoing. So of course there are a lot of factors, but it's been encouraging. It's also been encouraging from people that you'll hear from, like Heather. Everyone so far that I have been able to help get started on these products have experienced at least some degree of help, and they're just getting started. So it's been really encouraging. Okay, I have one more story. How's my time? I'm okay. It's just a part of my story. This is just the part that's even more personal in terms of just my own health. Several years back, I was introduced to the world of anxiety and panic attacks. Not something that I had ever experienced or ever even imagined that I would experience, because I am Sara Sue Sunshine. This is my nickname given to me by my grandmother, right? So this was a real foreign concept to me. It was very, very disconcerting. I started to experience it kind of little by little, here and there at first, but pretty soon I marked time by my panic attacks. It was like, it's been 3 months since I've had one, or, oh, it's been 6 months, maybe I won't have any more. And then at one point in the fall, a few years back, it reached a crisis point where I would wake up every morning, and as soon as I was conscious, it was like it just fell on me, this fear and adrenaline, and my heart would race. And this was every morning, sometimes all day, sometimes all morning. It would take me to get past those feelings. It did drive me to go to the doctor. I was fairly incapacitated, so I needed to be able to function. I was on anxiety medication that was prescribed to me at that time. They didn't have any other explanation for what I was experiencing. And that I was on anxiety medication for about a year at its worst. But I continued to battle even after I came off of the medication, especially in the winter. I used everything at my disposal to get the help that I needed. I kicked my butt in gear in terms of my exercise, to be in shape, because I knew that would be helpful. So I became fairly regimented in terms of exercise and healthy eating. But I mean, I thought this was the best shape possible for me. I've done everything I can do to increase my chances of some mental stability, and yet in the winters I struggled hard. Now, unrelated to this, believe it or not, last November I started taking Slim, the pink drink that we talk about here. It was not about my winters. It was about just some nagging gut issues that I thought I had. I was talking to Becky, like I said, and decided to give it a try. So I did, and it did help with those nagging gut issues, and I loved it. And I noticed right away I had more energy, and my nagging gut issues were gone. So I enjoyed that. Also, my cravings. It was a lot easier for me to say no to junk food and things like that. So I said, okay, I'm taking this forever. So I started. And months later, as in just a couple months ago, it was February. I remember specifically, I was driving down the road in February, late afternoon, and I looked around and I said, this is the ugliest day. It was so cloudy and gray and overcast and cold and dead looking. It was a horrible day in Michigan. And I thought, I didn't even notice how awful this day looks. I have gone through my whole day without noticing the clouds outside right now. And and it hit me that had been true of my winter. My winter had essentially been transformed in terms of being tied in to the weather. And I know that sounds silly, but I was tied in a lot of ways for winter after winter to the weather. And here was this ugly, depressing day where I would just struggle to get through this day, and I would envision the sun shining. I used to try to wipe away the clouds from the sky just to give me and remember what the sun looked like and stuff like that. So I don't want to overstate this point, because life is difficult, and I have things in life that do drive me to my knees, in prayer, in tears, on my face. But a cloudy day is not one of those things anymore for me. And that is huge. I am so thankful. I cannot tell you. In that way, I feel like myself dealing with the life that God has given me, which of course has difficulties and trials and is sad sometimes and emotionally difficult. But I feel like myself dealing with those things, not some, emotional basket case who can't get through a cloudy day dealing with those things. So I'm so very thankful. I have I have the winter now as my my own experience with Slim. I've been in good exercise, health, good shape for several years now, and oh, I should say too that Slim, I did lose like that 10 pounds that you just figure is never going anywhere once you're over 40. It's just gonna be there, you know, and you look pretty good, so okay, you'll deal with it. That too. But okay, so that's my story.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Okay, so if you want to be entered to win a 7-day trial of Slim and Metaburn, then in the comments section, tell us what relationship or what person was it in Sarah's life that she mentioned that motivated her most to get involved with Plexus. And if you can't type because you're just listening, you should still have a chat section even if you don't have your once the app is up and you're listening, there should be a chat section. But if it's not there, then text either Heather or Sarah, depending on who invited you, and you can answer there too. And we'll choose 3 winners at the end of the call. Sarah, do you want to introduce Heather?
Sure. Heather's my best friend from high school. She is just a great person. She's like, you know, Becky calls her the magic unicorn because she joined my team on Plexus like right away. She just she loves her family and she loves her friends. She loves the people around her, and she was excited to help them. She's going to tell you her story, but she has just jumped in with 2 feet. We went to high school together, and we've kept in touch over the years. But I'm excited for you. Of course, some of you already know her, some of you don't. But I'm excited for her to share with you just already some of the benefits she's been experiencing and how she's been encouraged. So, Heather.
Hey, everybody. Yep, I am Sarah's best friend from high school. I think we were attached at the hip back in those days. I've been married to my husband, Chandor, for 26 and a half years, so it'll be 27 this year. And we have 4 children, a mixture, boys and girls. 1 boy, 1 girl, 3 boys, sorry. 16 to 23. Closing in on our first college graduate in a couple of weeks. So, I guess I'll start with why Plexus. So in the month of March, I was driving to Grand Rapids with my sister, and she told me kind of rehashed a story with me that I had heard about her own gut health. And I had heard this a year ago, but this time she included the fact that the probiotics she had taken that had been amazing for her was Plexus. And it kind of like threw me because I had just been invited to Sarah's launch event. And I'm like, okay, I'm hearing about Plexus from these 2 people who I trust. I got to take this seriously. And in the meantime, I had like a handful, and I'm not joking, of multivitamins, or not multivitamins, individual vitamins that I would take every day. So on my own, I was thinking, I really need to like narrow this down so I'm not taking this huge handful, and I would like a quality, something good. I didn't want to just go and grab a multivitamin off the shelf. And as it turned out, I could not attend Sarah's launch event. And then I had nephews at my house, and I'm like, there's no way I can even read through these. But when I found time to sit down and read through the posts, I was just blown away. It definitely, everything I was reading definitely, like Sarah had said, stood up to the scrutiny that I was looking to have something stand up to. And there it was, the multivitamin that I wanted. And then in the process, it was and the this and the that, and those things were the triplex, which would be the Slim, the Probio 5, that was for sure for me, and the cleanse, plus the X Factor Kids for my Sarah. Those of you who know, I have a daughter who has disabilities. And so that having a multivitamin and a probio in one was really important. I was just sold on all the information that I read. And so when Sara and I were going through the enrollment, it was just totally a given that, of course, I'm going to do this as an ambassador because I wanted the best price. That just seemed like a no-brainer for me. And I said, but I'm just going to do this for myself. And then I started thinking about it and talking about it with Shandor, and he was fully supportive. And that was really cool to me because I really didn't have a professional outlet simply because of the nature of my life. I actually have to be able to drop everything in a moment if my daughter needs me. That's just, I can't be like, unless I've gone through extenuating measures to plan for being away. I have to be available to her. So this was an opportunity to have that, as well as the fact that I love talking with people. I really enjoy health and wellness. And so this was like a fantastic fit for my life. I started Plexus the day my package showed up. And then, a little bit at a time, as Sara had advised me. So I brought things on in the appropriate cadence. And I just want to share with you the changes that I'm seeing. First, I'm going to tell you that my response to Sara and Becky was, I am blown away. I really was. I noticed, which I guess I consider the most obvious physical change I'm going to say that I'm feeling is a calm and a clarity. And it's really a lot of what Sara said. I do have a stressful, hard life, but I feel like myself now when I'm dealing with all those elements. And I also constantly feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I'm not, I still sort of feel that way with my life, but I feel calm while I'm dealing with that. I don't feel like Mount Mama is like about to explode either internally or externally. Cravings are in check, and that is so wonderful because I am not kidding when I tell you that my candida was driving the bus. And if there was food, it was being eaten, especially if it was sugary. And I've told this much to my embarrassment that I would go to the grocery store in the fall and buy a bag of candy corn and start eating it on the way home. And I would have to throw it away by the time I got home for fear of finishing the whole thing myself. And that is not an issue. My energy is up, I'm sleeping better, and for all of you ladies in my age bracket, I'm not dealing with hot flashes and other annoying menopause symptoms. And that's awesome. I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I don't know if I'd classify myself as a unicorn, but I do definitely throw myself into things that I believe in. And so I would not have this kind of enthusiasm or excitement if I did not believe in this message and know that it is so, so relevant to so many, if not everyone out there, because our gut health is just so important. And I think that Plexus is an answer. So that's
Thank you, Heather. Okay, if you want to be entered to win a free X Factor Kids Chewables, this is our kids methylated multivitamin plus probiotic. If you want to win a bottle of that, tell us what candy Heather would eat in the car by herself in the fall. Or text it. If you can't comment in the chat section, Sara G is on it. If you can't comment in the chat section, text Sara or Heather. Okay, let me just try to cram like 5 years of belief into 5 minutes, because you guys don't know me, and I don't really have as much clout as Sara and Heather do through the relationships that they've had with you, other than Ann and Bruce, who've known me since I was still in the womb. I'm actually named after Sarah's mom, Nan, and named my daughter. She had the middle name Nan too. Okay, but my name is Becky, and what I want you to know is that I was a full-on skeptic. When my friend started posting on social media about Plexus, I just was like, what is she doing? I was judgy. I was prideful. I didn't think these products worked. I thought she was selling an energy drink, and I thought, I can't think of a worse idea of a way to commit social suicide than to get on social media and sell like weight loss or an energy drink. And so we have the kind of friendship where I could confront her, and she was very gracious with me, and we talked back and forth for a couple months, and I just kept blowing her off. At the time, I was a licensed professional counselor in Dallas, Texas, and I owned a large private practice that I had worked my tail off, just worked nonstop through having babies and young children and being a wife and mama. I was busy seeing clients all the time. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I saw after about 15 years of counseling people, especially adults, was that people would get on antidepressants, and praise God for antidepressants. I'm not anti-Western med, but they would get on them and stay on them and never truly see quality of life really return. And that nobody was quarterbacking these cases. So you'd have a woman in her mid-40s, typically mid-30s maybe, get on an antidepressant. There was never really an identification of, oh, here's why she's struggling with depression and anxiety. It was just like, well, she is, so we're going to treat this symptom. We'll put her on this medication, and then she would come and spend a lot of money to do a lot of great counseling work with me. But 5 years later, there's really no improvement in her daily quality of life. And I began to get frustrated because it was very difficult for me to get like the referring physician to run just blood lab work on someone. Like, hey, can we check her thyroid? Or, hey, can we check his testosterone levels? Or what about maybe a potential food allergy? And the more that I began to get familiar with functional health, the more frustrated I got in the realm of therapy and psychiatry and mood disorders and overall mood health. But one thing you need to know about me is that what led me into counseling was that I went through severe clinical depression in my 20s. It was brought on by a multitude of things. Most severe clinical depression is brought on by a storm of a lot of different things. But definitely one of the things going on for me was extremely poor gut health. And I was on a weight loss supplement that had a high, it was jacking up my heart rate. It was a form of ephedra back when you could buy that stuff from GNC and stuff like that. So I had experienced depression coming as a result of situational things happening in my life and poor belief habits, but also as a result of poor health. But nobody could identify that for me. And when I say I went through severe clinical depression, super bad, really low season in life. And that led me to want to help people through hard seasons. But even as a healthy young mom, where I was trying to eat clean, and I would try to go to CrossFit 3 times a week and still maintaining my practice, I still experienced what Sara and Heather have referenced, which is severe, I'll call it generalized anxiety, where you're not really sure where the anxiety is coming from. And much like Sara, mine would hit me either in the middle of the night. If I often woke up throughout the night, which I just considered normal after having babies. I would wake up, and if I woke up too much, the adrenaline, like Sara mentioned, would hit. Boom, it was like a curtain being drawn. And suddenly I was amped, and I couldn't get myself to calm back down to go back to sleep. But I was just grateful I wasn't depressed. So on I went with life. When I got into Plexus, to be honest, because like a lot of people, I wanted to lose like that 10, 15 pounds. I had no idea the impact it was going to have on my life. This was 5.5 years ago. And I did not have any interest in the business. I would have told you at that point that I thought network marketing was kind of despicable, kind of what you do when you go after your friends and family and try to make money off of them. I just didn't understand it. And I look back and I just have to laugh at what God does sometimes, is that he'll lead you into situations you just didn't really want to be in. And it's been something that I've become so grateful for. But what I love, and both Heather and Sara spoke into it, is that gut health and inflammation and blood sugar balance, it just doesn't discriminate. From the time you're in the womb until the time you hit the grave, you're going to deal with the impact, especially gut health, that it has on your body, and it will affect you lifelong. And the way that we eat, our modern toxins, the way that our soil has been depleted, it's just a common factor. Most people are dealing with blood sugar issues due to additives in their foods, and blood sugar has a direct effect on hormones. Hormones and gut health hold hands, and your gut health has a direct effect on all autoimmune issues, on your brain health, on your body sending messages to each other. And then inflammation is kind of the driving factor behind most disease. So what I love about the products is they're natural. So whereas if you take a prescription medication is going to have like a 90% immediate effect on your body's biochemistry. A natural supplement's only going to have about a 30%. So it's not going to have that power punch that happens when you take either a heavy over-the-counter medication or a prescription med. It's a slow process, which is hard for us in the modern age. It's hard for us to slowly trust something to get down to the root causes. But the effects, especially when you involve things like changing inflammatory foods in your diet, or just getting more familiar with how to detox your body, the effects are massive. I've been on the products for 5 years. I had a baby at 40. She was my healthiest pregnancy by far. I've seen people get off all kinds of medications. I'm real cautious because I don't want to promise you the moon. It's not a magic pill, but it's just a really excellent plan to treat those 3 areas: blood sugar balance, inflammation, and gut health. And I'll tell you this, if you're just curious, I really can't think of a situation where, like today, where network marketing wouldn't be a good plan. It's a form of supplemental income. Most of us need that. And I tell people, your health is the new wealth. If your health is poor in our day and age, with everything from insurance issues to how doctors get paid, the better health you have, the more money you will end up saving. And to have a supplemental line of income is just massive for most families in this day and age. For our family, it's been huge. It's one of the reasons why I can pursue someone like people like Sara and Heather and say with confidence, I can show you how to make $500 a month at a minimum. You know, this is possible. So I want to ask you, like, how many of you have a subscription to a service right now? How many of you have a subscription to Netflix or something that you get through maybe Amazon Pantry? Most of us have something like this set up in this day and age. And Plexus is something that most people need. And like Sara and I talked about early in the beginning, she needed it, but she couldn't afford it at that point. So we just talked about, well, what if we just pray about you being able to afford it because you work the business side? I just want to bring that up because I do think that now at this day and age, you're seeing so many things sold on your social media platforms. And for me, I mean, all blessing and to anyone who's selling makeup or hair products or jewelry or the like, those things are great. I just knew for me, it was going to be more attractive to be able to help a whole host of people, whether it was kids or people in their early 20s or people kind of in my season of life or people in my parents' season of life, men and women. It wasn't going to discriminate. And for me, just the power of introducing people to gut health was really awesome. So, okay, so we'll wrap it up because we went a little bit longer than we planned to. But for a $20 Target gift card, can any of you tell me what my first job, my first calling was before Plexus? If so, tell us in the comments section and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on tonight, and you guys were really patient to listen. If you're curious about any of this, then just get with Heather or Sara. Erica, you are on it. get with Sara or Heather and talk with them, and just want you to know that we appreciate your time. I know that you're getting, your attention is drawn in so many different areas, but I also would tell you one thing you should know is that Plexus has a 60-day money-back guarantee, and they're a debt-free company. If you want to try the products, but you're not sure you're going to love them and you can't afford to be shelling out a ton of money, if you don't love the products, it is really easy to get a refund. It's an impeccable company. Products are clean. The corporate team is incredible, and the community of folks that I've found have just tended to be people that cared about people, and that aren't in it for the money, that are in it for the ability to love people through health, through giving them the gift of health. Sara, Heather, anything that y'all want to add?
It's been fun.
So let's do this. Hey, winners, you will hear from one of us. We'll let you know if you won, and we'll pop your giveaway in the mail to you. And we so appreciate you being on. And we will, Sara and Heather will have a link to this recording in case you want to go back and listen or share with someone else. Sound good?
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.